Some languages have no past tense. If I want to talk about something I did yesterday, I just have to say, I did this, or I ate some rice. In these examples, I'm using the past tense, but some languages don't have that, so how do they express the past? I mean, it seems like an important thing to be able to talk about the past, right? Before diving deeper into this topic, let me clarify something right away. When I mention no past tense, I am talking about verbs, not the reference to the past. There is no language that lacks the ability to talk about the past. They only differ in how it's achieved. To understand the lack of past tense, let's briefly talk about the past in English. To talk about the past, I simply have to conjugate the verb, or in other words, use the past tense. It's fairly simple in English. You take the verb and add ed at the end. Of course, you have some exceptions like irregular verbs that you need to know, where ed is not used but a slightly different form, like ate for eat or brought for bring. But other than that, that's it. Your sentence now is talking about the past. Boom. Done. Easy, right? In other languages, you may have to make a bit more effort to use the past tense, but the logic is pretty much the same. But what if you don't have that in a language? How do you talk about the past? There are actually a few different ways, so let's try to look into that. Let's take a look at the following sentence. Yesterday, I ate an apple. In this sentence, we can see that the past is actually mentioned in two different ways. The verb, using in the past tense, but also the word yesterday. That gives us a specific time context. The action happened yesterday. If I change this sentence a bit, such as, yesterday I eat an apple, it would sound off and grammatically incorrect, but the meaning would still likely be understood. The action happened yesterday, which is in the past. And that's exactly the strategy that some languages use to refer to the past without using the past tense. This is a strategy that you can find in Mandarin Chinese or Indonesian and in many other languages in Asia. For example, in Mandarin, the particle le mentions a completed action. I went to Beijing yesterday. The particle quo refers to a past experience, emphasizing the experience. I've been to Beijing before. Here the verb stays the same, but the past is expressed in different ways using different particles. In Indonesian, a similar process happens to refer to the past. A word that refers to the idea of the past is added, but the verb does not change. Saya telah makan nasi, saya sudah makan nasi. In this language, you can either use telah or sudah to refer to the past. The verb does not change. They are often described as time words, mentioning the idea of the past. You can also just use a word like yesterday in Indonesian to refer to the past without using a time word. Kemarin in Indonesian is yesterday. Dia tidur kemarin. With these examples, you may have realized something about English too. It has no future. While this video focuses on the past, you can see that in English, there is no future tense. But yet, you can still talk about it. For example, I will eat an apple. To express the future in English, you need to use the word will, which is not a tense, but a temporal word added to the sentence, similar to what we just saw with Mandarin and Indonesian. So far, we have seen two similar strategies to express the past without using a past tense. But there is also a third one, the use of aspects. As such, the past is mentioned by telling us whether an action is happening or if it has been completed. You have a distinction between incompletion versus being completed. And that's how the past can be mentioned. A famous example of that is Yucatec Maya, or Maya Ta'an, a Mayan language mainly spoken in Mexico and Belize. In Yucatec Maya, there is no past tense, and the use of aspects is how the past is referred to. For example, to say I sat in this language, what's happening is I will mention that I sit, but I'll mention that this action is completed. And as such, the use of completion allows us to refer to the past. It's clear that languages have various ways to refer to the past, and it's not always through the use of a past tense. Many languages have different strategies to do so. But let me emphasize one more time that all languages can refer to the past. They just can differ greatly in how they do so.